all set?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Answer any questions that you can. I'm sorry.
Ask
Come on.
How you feel about the bail, the lower bail, the changes in the circumstances for Ms. Leonard?
You know, obviously we asked for $100,000 cash bail because we thought that was an appropriate amount of bail for the death of a two-year-old little girl in this factual pattern. I mean, we have a situation now where the defense attorney talked about a tragedy. It's a tragedy that the little girl is dead, but what occurred to this little girl was a crime.
The defense attorney said that if there was any evidence of murder, she would have been charged with murder. Why wasn't Shaniqua Leonard charged with murder in this case?
We have a responsibility to look at all the evidence and make a determination based upon the evidence, apply to a law, and come up with the best case that we can to try to get justice for victims in these cases. In this instance, based upon the evidence that we had, we went at manslaughter because of the fact that that's where the evidence directed us. I think he's correct that if we could, at that point, or if we can in the road, we would obviously make sure that individuals will be held to the highest charge they possibly can. But like I said earlier, this incident right here is not, it's a tragic thing that occurred to little Lyric Farrell. It's a tragedy to her family, it's a tragedy to her siblings, it's a tragedy to her grandmother. But what happened to her is a crime. And we're going to hold the people responsible, the person responsible that did this to this little girl or allowed it to happen. And to come in here, it was a very interesting argument on behalf of the defense attorney trying to argue that an upgrade in the charge should have resulted in a reduction in the bail. You heard the facts, you heard the tremendous injuries this little girl sustained, and like I said, today was one small step toward justice for that little girl. We're going to do our job and we're going to keep going forward.
Do the other children suffer any minor injuries or any similar injuries of any kind? Like, is there any evidence that she may have done this to somebody else, other kids?
I'm not in a position against the particulars of the other kids, but I will say this, obviously they're part of the investigation because they were at or about the scene. And I think when you look at the totality of the circumstances and the facts themselves, including the fact that this little girl was a healthy 2-year-old little girl right a month or two prior to being given back to her mother, and then as other people that were her doctors or people that dealt with her couldn't even recognize her. I think that tells you an awful lot about what happened to that little girl under the care, custody, and control of her natural mother.